Another video from Jordan B. Peterson. Today's video is something that I'm not certain about, but I'm sure it would interest a lot of you guys. I don't know if this works. If this has worked for anybody, please let us know in the comment section. If you think this will work, let us know in the comment section. Today's video is titled How to Predict Divorce with 95% Accuracy. Nobody plans for divorce anyway, but how can you predict that this person is not your person? That in the nearest future, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, a divorce can happen. Let's watch this. Before we dive into it, my name is Oge. Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time here, hi, it's good to have you here. Do well to like, share, subscribe, turn your post notification bell, and drop a comment on what you think about this video. If you'd love to appreciate me, you can use the super thanks button and whatever. Any amount is fine with me. Let's just dive straight into the video.
I was reading a Gottman study the other day on marital stability. Gottman has done some really good analysis of couples' behavior. He has set up a lab that's basically a bed and breakfast, and he brings couples in there for a weekend and he wires them up physiologically and monitors their reactivity. And so he can predict whether a couple's going to divorce with 94% accuracy. It's like impressive. So what has he found?
This is going to look
found
interesting.
Two categories of. He's identified two phenomena that are very much worth knowing. The first is that the couples who are going to get divorced, they come into the bed and breakfast, and they speak with each other quite calmly, but it's more walking on eggs calm. And while they're speaking with each other calmly, their physiology is like. They're very aroused, and so they're sort of aroused like someone who's facing a predator. So you might think of an unhappy couple as predator and prey to each other. And so the words are there mostly to stop predatory activity, not to actually communicate anything. It's just to keep the surface calm.
Okay.
So then you might think, well, what's under the surface? And what's under the surface, so Freud would say, it's what's under the surface is unconscious. But you can say, well, what's under the surface is one of these hierarchies that's all banged up and twisted and not in reasonable shape. And so people don't want to open the door to that. So, but they do. This is a Freudian slip. So let's say goes to the second part of Gottman's observations. So the woman goes over to the window and she says, oh, look, there's a cardinal outside. You know, cardinal's that bright red bird. They're kind of cool looking. You know, it's kind of a trivial thing in some sense, but by the same token, it's a little positive thing, and 20 of them in a day is a good thing. Okay, so then the partner, the husband in this example, has a 2x2 matrix of choices. One is, who the hell cares about your stupid bird? Okay, so that's one. The second one is, then you go over and look at the bird, right? And the third one is, you don't make the contempt noise, but you act it out. And the fourth one is, you go over there like a civilized human being, and and that you're interacting with someone that you care for, and you take a look at the damn bird, and you're happy about it. And that's as truthful and real as you can manage. Okay, so the option, that's a Freudian slip, right? Because what it says, there's a whole monster underneath that, and the monster is all the disorganization in this entire structure. It's like we have been tormenting each other about various things for the last 10 years, and none of them are resolved. And I'm not very happy about you for so many reasons. I can't even remember all of them. And I can't enumerate them right now because that would take forever, and maybe we would have a huge fight. But by the same token, I'm not going to come over there and make you happy with your stupid bird. And I'm going to indicate that subtly so you can't call me a son of a bitch because I'm just sighing, and that's what I'll say if you do ask me. But I'm going to load all that up and I'm going to deliver it to you. And what's going to happen to you is, because you're smart, is your heart rate's going to go way up like you're being attacked. And the reason for that is you are. So what the good couples do, the couples that, stay together, is they respond to each other's bids. He calls them bids. And so if one person wants to share some little trivial daily positive thing with the other, isn't carrying around a bloody cartload of resentment and is able to respond to that in a positive way. And that way the general interactions between the couple stay positive. But that's also because they've worked this out. Now, you know it's got to be because they work it out, because the couples who are physiologically reactive to each other, they're communicating, but there's all sorts of horror underneath the surface. And we're trying to figure out, well, what is it that's underneath the surface? What's the structure of the unconscious? Well, that's the structure of the unconscious. And it's either well structured and functional and mutually agreed upon and as explicit as possible, or it's this constantly.
Communication. That's one thing I think I was able to get out of this video. Communication. So there are four, there's an experiment. There are 4 different couples. So the one that I think would be able to pass the experiment is the one who, even though the surface level seems calm, but they are communicating, they are able to resolve and meet to a certain point. There was a movie I watched, and there was this couple that wanted to get married, and then the mom, who is a therapist, advised that the couple, she would only give her consent if the couple went to see a particular therapist, which looked somehow like this. The therapist is supposed to work on their emotional, mental, physical, everything that had to do with them, to see how they can merge and make sure that in the nearest future, I think the woman has a history of divorce in her family, so she didn't want that to repeat in her son. So she wanted the son and the fiancé to go through that before she would give her consent, right? Which every mother would want to do. They would want their child not to follow in their pattern, especially if it's a negative pattern. So the couple went and they realized that they had a lot of work to do. They didn't pass the experiment. They did not pass the experiment because they realized that they were not communicating a lot. There were things that were said but were never clear on. Things that they knew that would cause like a serious disagreement in the future. But when they talked about it passively, it felt like, just like when he talked about this experiment, that on the surface level it seemed very okay, but there are some underlying issues that were never said. It's like the predator and prey relationship, where the predator says one thing, the prey says just in a very calm voice, just so that there is no argument. But when they realized that during the 1 week or 2 weeks they were with that therapist, they realized that they were not communicating well. There were so many issues that they would fight so much, they would argue a lot, they would fight and argue, and they did hit each other, but they realized that they did not communicate. So after that 2 weeks, they did not pass the test. And so the mother said she would not give her consent, because the therapist is someone who has worked with a lot of couples, just like this prediction from this psychologist or so. Yeah. So they had to now go back and rebuild their relationship. And nobody actually prepares for divorce. When 2 people are in love, of course, they fall in love, they want to spend the rest of their lives together, they want to have kids together, they want to travel together. Nobody knows like the end, but you can actually sometimes know if you are very conscious and if you are very in that relationship. So one thing that I would pick from this whole experiment or this prediction is communication. When you communicate, and there are different ways in which people communicate. You realize that you think you communicate, but you do not communicate as much. So this couple realized that they could not communicate in a way that they agree. So the only couple, or one of the couples that, I think that was the only couple that went past that prediction and passed the test, were the couple that were able to communicate so much that they could agree on a lot of things, even though the communication sometimes wouldn't go well, but they could communicate and meet at the center. That is the only way that you will know that, okay, we have communicated well. But in communication whereby you're just agreeing, everybody is fine and everybody's agreeing, we both do not, a couple, both the guy and the woman grew up from 2 different places, have 2 different backgrounds, have the way they think, even though it might look alike, but no, they have different. That's why it's important that, anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think couples should go to things like this? I feel like if people go to things like this, a lot of couples will not get married. I mean, the divorce rate is high so much these days. And do you guys think that people go through this prediction thing, a lot of couples will not be married? Would you advise people to go through this? Or what do you guys even think about this prediction? Do you think it doesn't even work? Like, it's not in every situation. It's not in every situation. What do you guys think about this? I would love to know your comments or what you think about this in the comment section below. This prediction, who has ever tried it? Have you tried it? Has it worked in your situation? Have you seen situations whereby it's worked? What do you think is the place of communication in a relationship, especially people that want to recently get married? What do you guys think, especially married people? What do you think is communication? How much do you think they should communicate so that they will not experience divorce in the nearest future? Would love to know your thoughts and comments about this topic. Before you go any further, before you go out or sign out, make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on notification bell, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.